everyone, welcome to this update video. I hope you're doing good this morning. It is the weekend and we're going to be talking about an earthquake that happened in Jamaica yesterday, as well as the weather update for the Atlantic. And there's also Hurricane Ernesto, which made landfall in Bermuda earlier this morning. So it is bringing very dangerous conditions to the small island, and we're going to be talking about that as well. And we're actually going to be kickstarting things with Ernesto, then we'll move on to that earthquake that happened in Jamaica. So on the satellite imagery here of the North Atlantic, we can see Ernesto. It is not looking too good, especially compared to when it just became a hurricane. That's because it's been battling some unfavorable conditions it has accelerated into, and that is the reason the system hasn't strengthened as much as initially expected, because it was initially expected to be a high-end Cat 2 and then a Cat 3, but it peaked with winds of 100 miles per hour. So it was a Category 2 hurricane at peak intensity, but right now it is back down to a Cat 1. Let's go to the cone forecast. We can see here that it has maximum sustained winds up to 85 miles per hour and is moving to the north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. Now, this hurricane is moving pretty slowly, and as a result, these hurricane conditions and even the tropical storm conditions are likely to persist throughout much of today, even into very early tomorrow morning as well. But eventually, as Ernesto continues to the northeast and moves out, it will be picking up in its acceleration, so it will be moving out a lot quicker. And then by early next week, it could be near Newfoundland as a post-tropical cyclone. So Ernesto is going to eventually approach the end of its lifetime out there. Going to that earthquake in Jamaica. Now, the earthquake was estimated to be of magnitude 4.5, even though the earthquake unit has estimated at a 5.3 earthquake, but I've been seeing 4.5, 4.7 from the U.S. Geological Survey. So it was around that intensity, light to moderate shaking based on where you were in the island. Now, this pin here is showing the epicenter of the quake. That's where the earthquake would have been felt on land, just above the point at which it starts within the earth. So within the earth, that's called the focus. On the surface of the earth, just above the focus, is the epicenter. So areas that would have been closest to the epicenter in Portland would have felt a stronger shaking. But for areas as far west as Westmoreland and even St. James, St. Elizabeth felt the shaking. And I'm in St. James, and I actually felt it. I was watching a series yesterday when it happened, and I just felt the chair starting to move, and I immediately knew that it was an earthquake. And the doorway was actually the closest safe spot I could get to, so I just stood there. But fortunately, it was over within a few seconds. And I mean, I was even there like, is this really an earthquake? Because it's only my fourth earthquake experience on a whole. My first was back in 2020 when that magnitude 7.7 struck between Jamaica, Cuba, and the Cayman Islands. That is the strongest shaking I've ever felt as well. My first and the strongest earthquake I've ever felt, at least thus far. But yeah, objects in the home, in my home, are moving around. So yeah, that's how I knew that it wasn't me. It was an actual earthquake. But you can let me know what your experience was like with this shaking. And fortunately, it was not a stronger one. But I mean, many people would say that, hey, this is something that's happening very frequently. And we do get a couple of earthquakes across the island each year, especially in the eastern part. So this here is showing the density of seismic activity, for earthquakes between 2010 and 2020. So we can see that the greatest density would be in the eastern part of Jamaica. And one of the myths that I've been seeing going around as well, it's a very popular Caribbean belief that because the days are so hot, that is what triggers earthquakes. The weather above has nothing to do with what is going on below the surface of the earth. There is no way the heat that we feel, the probably 30, 31 degrees Celsius on average during the summer, is going to affect inside of the earth where the temperature is thousands of degrees Celsius. So the weather above does not affect or influence earthquakes going on inside of the earth. So that is a very common myth. We've had many hot days, and if that was the case where the hot days cause earthquakes, then we should be getting them a lot more often when you think about it. So that's just a very common myth that's been passed down generation to generation, but it's not actually true. However, let's go ahead and actually talk about the weather and what's going on. So here we are looking at the satellite imagery of the Caribbean, and we can see a couple of thunderstorms around here and there near Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, even in parts of the Leeward Islands as well, and just offshore. So some of that is associated with a tropical wave that's moving through. So there's a tropical wave which has entered the Eastern Caribbean. But for many places, though, it's a pretty sunny morning, pretty calm and quiet as well. But as we're going to be heading to the afternoon, of course, some shower activity and thunderstorms are expected. So go into the rainfall forecast within the Northeast Caribbean for the Virgin Islands, parts of Puerto Rico, and the Leeward Islands as well. There could be some pretty decent downpours and even additional thunderstorms later today, and across parts of the Bahamas as well, South Florida, Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, Central America especially. There could be some additional afternoon thunderstorm and shower activity as well. Similar thing for parts of Northern South America, Colombia, and a few spots in Venezuela. But things will be a bit on the drier side for the Northern Bahamas, the ABC Islands, and even headed to Grenada, the Grenadines, parts of Trinidad and Tobago, and a few spots in the Guyanas. Now, this is a look at the current surface chart. So as I said, there is a tropical wave which has entered the Caribbean. There's Hurricane Ernesto up there. Another one is not too far from French Guiana, and another is near the Cabo Verde Islands. So 3 tropical waves out there, and currently none of these is marked for development. However, as we head to the latter part of the month, there are so many hints that we're going to be seeing things really ramping up. So this is a look at the Euro ensembles, and we're seeing that they're showing maybe not just one, but maybe 2 or 3 systems trying to get themselves together as we head to the latter part of the month. So this goes out to the 26th of August in the evening. So that is suggestive of, seeing things really getting active again in the tropics, which is not something surprising to see, nor is it uncommon. We're heading to the most active phase in the hurricane season. So between August and October, that's when we typically see the most development take place within the hurricane season. And the next name on the list for the season is Francine. So we're at the letter F, and nothing is expected for the very short term, but as I said, as we head into late August, we could see some additional development of not only one, but maybe multiple systems out there. And we saw that being reflected on the ensemble track forecast for the Euro model. So the different members hinting that, hey, we could see an area of low pressure form, or multiple areas of low pressure form as we head to the latter part of the month. But I'm here to keep you posted as per usual, and that is basically it for this update video. I do hope you found it to be informative, but if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll get to you when I have the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.